The United Kingdom's military leadership reportedly anticipated that Russia would deploy its most advanced tanks and cutting-edge combat aircraft in large numbers on the Ukrainian front line, showcasing the full might of its modern arsenal against Kiev's defenses. However, instead of fielding the latest T-14 Armata tanks and Su-57 stealth fighter jets, Western observers mostly witnessed older T-80 and T-90 tanks, along with refurbished Soviet-era armored vehicles and legacy systems being thrown into the brutal frontline battles. This conspicuous absence of Russia's so-called prestige hardware has sparked serious doubts and debate among analysts about the true depth, readiness, and combat credibility of Moscow's much-advertised high-tech military capabilities. Major Maguire explained that British forces routinely train against advanced Russian pacing threat systems, like the T-14 and Su-57, that are treated as benchmark adversary gear, yet these platforms have barely appeared in Ukraine, reinforcing confidence that UK units could counter them if they were ever committed in earnest. British Army Major Maguire told Business Insider, "We probably would have expected to have seen more of their prestige equipment. I have no idea why they're not using it, but I'm pretty sure whatever it is, we could defeat it with what we have." T-14 tanks haven't really been used, and I think that's probably more surprising than the fact that they've used a lot of their stockpiles and stuff. Their high-end systems that have turned up haven't performed very well. That probably gives us more confidence than the stuff they're keeping back. The T-14 Armata, promoted as Russia's most sophisticated next-generation main battle tank, has been conspicuously missing from frontline combat in Ukraine, appearing more in parades and trials than in real high-intensity battles. With an estimated unit cost in the range of $5 to $9 million, the T-14 was widely portrayed by commentators as a potential NATO tank killer, supposedly capable of overmatching Western designs like the Leopard 2 and Abrams in a head-to-head clash. Russian state outlets heavily marketed the Armata as a cutting-edge symbol of Moscow's technological edge, yet the vehicle has largely sidestepped sustained combat in Ukraine, undermining years of hype about its battlefield dominance. Rostec CEO Sergei Chemezov openly acknowledged that the Armata is too expensive and not well suited for the grinding, attritional style of warfare in Ukraine, hinting that its cost and complexity make mass deployment impractical. UK defense intelligence has assessed that Russia has almost certainly held back the T-14 from serious frontline use because losing even a few of these prestige tanks to Ukrainian fire would inflict severe reputational damage after years of bold claims. Moscow has reportedly cut back its own procurement plans for the T-14 and redirected resources into modernizing older but cheaper tanks like T-72S and T-90S, prioritizing quantity and incremental upgrades over a small fleet of ultra-expensive prototypes. To sustain losses, Russia has increasingly pulled tanks and artillery from vast Cold War stockpiles, even reactivating 1950s and older designs, and in some reported cases relying on systems with roots in 1940s-era technology to keep its frontline units supplied. Russia's Su-57 fifth-generation fighters have similarly been kept largely away from heavily defended Ukrainian airspace, avoiding the most dangerous sorties where advanced Western-supplied air defenses could threaten these prized aircraft. According to UK defense assessments, Su-57s have instead been used mainly from within Russian airspace, launching long-range air-to-surface and air-to-air missiles at targets deep inside Ukraine while staying beyond the reach of many Ukrainian defenses. London's analysis is that Moscow is keen to avoid losing a Su-57 in combat, since a shootdown would damage the jet's image, hurt future export prospects, and risk exposing sensitive radar, stealth coatings, and mission systems to foreign exploitation. Defense experts have long questioned the Su-57 true fifth-generation status, pointing to design compromises and limited fleet numbers, and ongoing debate over how effective its stealth features really are compared with US or Allied counterparts. Ukrainian forces have managed to locate, target, and destroy several of Russia's rare BMPT Terminator tank support vehicles, high-profile machines that Russian propaganda once claimed would terrify and dominate enemy armor on the battlefield. US-supplied Patriot air defense batteries in Ukrainian service have successfully intercepted Kh-47M2 Kinzhal missiles, exposing the limits of a weapon that Moscow had loudly branded as virtually unstoppable and beyond the reach of Western systems. Russia's long-vaunted S-400 air defense system remains a formidable threat on paper, but its mixed performance and vulnerabilities exposed in the Ukraine conflict have fallen short of the near-invincible mythology built up around it before the war. Overall, Russia's armed forces have underperformed many pre-war Western expectations, especially after their initial failure to rapidly overwhelm Ukraine and seize key cities in the Lightning campaign that planners in Moscow appeared to anticipate. NATO assessments conclude that the quality of Russia's forces has degraded due to heavy losses and accelerated mobilization, yet its capacity to absorb lessons, adapt tactics, and sustain large-scale operations ensures it remains a dangerous adversary that cannot be underestimated.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.